Have you ever had that one person who kept complaining at you about things you do or things you don't do on a repeated basis? And you get to a point where you're like, why the fuck are you doing this? And they actually explain to you why they're doing this. Why are they complaining at you on a daily basis, on a hourly basis, like always, just coming back at you and saying like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you being a lazy fuck? Why are you being stupid? Why are you just making your room more dirtier and dirtier? Why are you doing all of these things that are just making you look bad, making you feel bad? And whenever they tell you, do this, do that, make sure you clean your room, make sure you organize your things, make sure you're disciplined, make sure you clean up your room, make sure you clean up after yourself, make sure you're clean, neat, and tidy. And you do it, and then you're like, you know what, actually, he was kind of right. He was kind of right. I've found myself doing this with a lot of different people, but at the end of the day, you have to think for yourself. If you have goals, if you have things that you want to achieve, if you want to do things, if you want to set out and get things done, then if you have the motivation and the drive and the aspiration to do better, then in that case, you need to be aware of comfort. Comfort is the silent killer of today's society. What ends up happening with most people's lives is they collect a bunch of stuff. They might upgrade their blanket, they might upgrade their mattress, they might upgrade their tools at home, they might upgrade their power bill, they might upgrade their internet, they might upgrade their computer, and all of these things are made on purpose so that your life can feel easier, can be better, can be and feel and more comfortable when you actually think about it. Like for me, sometimes I don't want to get out of bed because I've got this super fucking comfortable blanket, and it's almost like animal fur, but it's not real. It's like synthetic, I think. And it feels so comfortable and so warm and cozy and all of this stuff. But then I remind myself, I've got goals, I've got dreams, I've got aspirations. And so I can't just sit there in bed, just do nothing, or go back to sleep. Like, I've got stuff to do. I've gotta fucking get back on the fucking clock, get back on work, bro. And it's as simple as those little things that are just gonna chip away at your armor, and you need to be aware of them. Because if you put yourself purposefully in an environment where it feels more comfortable, you're going to struggle to actually get some hard work done because you've got so many distractions around you, so many different things that are much easier. Your brain is going to be like, you know what, this is hard work, we're not getting any reward, we're not getting any dopamine, we're not getting anything. Why don't we just go back to scrolling on TikTok? Or why don't we just go play this video game we haven't played in a while? Or why don't we go just watch this movie? Or why don't we just go eat some food? Or why don't we just go do something more productive? Or why don't we just go clean the house? Or why don't we just go take a shower? Or whatever it may be. You need to be careful, because these things will compete for your attention. And your brain is hardwired to seek out anything that it deems a good source of dopamine. And so if it's a negative thing as scrolling, if you scroll too much, your dopamine is just going to get fried. That's the whole point, the whole purpose of why the scrolling was invented, was to fry your dopamine. Because every single time you scroll, you get that one extra hit. It's kind of like taking drugs. It's not great. And so you need to be aware not only of what are the different sources of dopamine in your life, but also whenever you're trying to do hard work or hard things that aren't necessarily going to increase your dopamine or like trigger it, you need to be aware when your brain goes, hey, why don't we go do this? And say, no, we've decided we're going to do this. And even though we're not getting any dopamine within the next few seconds, that's fine. And you need to understand that doing hard work actually is extremely more rewarding, not only in reality, but also in dopamine. Once you accomplish something, like for instance, for me, if I'm in my business and if I do a bunch of work in order to close a deal and I close a deal for like 4 or 5 figures, then in that case, I get a massive dopamine influx because I see the money hit my bank account and I'm like, holy shit, I did it. I succeeded. I managed to tell this person that I'm a valuable enough asset to invest money into so that I can help them. So obviously, it's all about the reward in that case. It's no longer about seeking out the dopamine and putting in as little effort and getting as much dopamine in as possible. The point would be to put in as much effort as possible to get as much reward as possible, right? So for instance, hard work, you work hard for an entire day and you get rewarded with a good meal. Well, just repeat that then. Like, very simple. You want to get like a 6-pack, very hard to obtain, very valuable. And it is valuable because it is hard to obtain. And so it takes fucking years and years of dedication to get this 6-pack. And you need to be consistent with everything. So at that point, you need to be aware that comfort is going to compete for your attention with a bunch of different like activities, hobbies, even things that you might think it's a good thing to do, like clean your house, take a shower, go to the gym. All of these things that are competing for your attention, you need to be aware of it, because this is what is going to happen in your mind every single time you aren't getting that dopamine release. Very simple. Comfort has been told many times in the past that comfort kills dreams. Well, in that case, if comfort kills dreams, if you want to achieve your dreams at any cost, then in that case, wouldn't you purposefully make yourself or put yourself in a less comfortable position? I've done this time and time again. I remember when I was at the very start of my journey, I put myself in a pretty comfortable position and I wasn't making that much progress. I got a job. It got less comfortable. Felt like shit all day. Felt tired. Felt like I wasn't eating enough. Felt sick sometimes. Felt completely destroyed physically. And it got to the point where I was like, you know what? I need a break from the job. But I still did the hard work that I needed to do to improve my business and to push that forward, because that's actually what I wanted to do. But it taught me a valuable lesson that I should seek to put myself in positions where I feel so much like shit that my brain is going to force itself naturally, subconsciously, to get out of that position, to find a position of comfort. That's how the brain's hardwired. Because once you taste comfort for the first time, you can never really just go back to uncomfortable positions. Or else your brain is just gonna it's gonna scramble and fucking move around and just be like, hey, this is shit, this is shit, this is shit, we need to go back. And so it is a very good motivator internally to do this. For instance, if you have a very good apartment, you have a bunch of good looking furniture, you have a bunch of comfortable things at home, you have a computer, you have like X, Y, and Z, you have music, you have lighting, you have everything. I recommend you downgrade your apartment. Not only can you save a bit of money on that, then, I mean, that's not necessarily the point, but you can also, thanks to that, put yourself in a position where Yeah, this apartment feels like shit. I haven't made it yet. And this is what I'm doing, like, on a day-to-day basis. Like, where I'm at right now is nowhere near where I would like to be. I've been inside houses that I would love to be a part of, that I would love to have, that I would love to own or rent or be in, live in. And having tasted those things, I now understand where I can go. How is that going to feel? How is that, like, it is going to help me put together my purpose in a much more clear aspect and a clearer vision for it. Like, if I actually want to get that six-pack, I don't actually know what that feels like. I know what that looks like because I've seen other people with a six-pack, but I don't know what that's going to feel like. I'm very close to achieving a six-pack, like super lean, but I'm not quite there yet. I'm not quite at the point where I'm satisfied with it. So I'll keep working on it. And so this is the same thing for every single area. If you want to have a certain amount of finances, if you want to have a certain amount of house, if you want like a specific house that looks very different in a very different part of the world, maybe. It could be other different things, like different types of clothes. Like, you should go to a suit store, get a tailored suit, and then wear it, and then say, oh fuck, I don't have the money to buy it. So then you have to go work harder to get the money to buy the suit. Or any and all things that you want to achieve. If you really, I wouldn't personally recommend this, but if you really want to buy that video game, then in that case, it's your choice. But if you don't have the money to buy it, then I recommend going and get the money to buy it. You use that as a motivator. If you want to buy, I don't know, like a boat, a house, a plane, I don't know, a gun, whatever it may be. Build a castle, build a house, build like literally anything you want. You can use it as a motivational tool to push yourself to achieve it. And that's the power that comes from your mind's imagination. Your mind doesn't really make the difference between reality and imagination. So whenever you're imagining how it's going to feel to achieve this goal, your mind is already picturing that and thinking as how vivid that would be to achieve and to have it and to own it and to hold it in your hands. Maybe you want to have a sports car, a Lamborghini, a Bugatti, whatever it may be. You could choose. Maybe you want to go on a trip to, I don't know, Scandinavia. Maybe you want to go on a trip to Spain, to Greece, to Egypt. I don't fucking know. You get to choose. This is what's beautiful about life. You get to choose what you want to do, and you set out to do it. Your own dream. You can choose. And so you have to think for yourself. Am I working for somebody else's dream, or am I working for my own? I've made a couple of videos on this topic already, but what I wanted to focus more on today is comfort and being aware of it and understanding how to counteract it and understanding what is going on in our heads. So, for instance, one thing that you need to be extremely aware of is completely tied to comfort itself is entropy and what's the other one called? Yeah, chaos and entropy. If you are subjected by chaos and entropy on a day-to-day basis, then what's going to happen is you aren't even going to notice whenever these things affect your life on a day-to-day basis. You might be, I don't know, you might be working hard, and then at that point one thought pops into your head and then you go on a tangent. Like, it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever watched a movie that you haven't finished, or you haven't watched or you started watching a show but you haven't finished it, or you started playing this video game and you had a bunch of checkpoints and a bunch of things that you think you wanted to do inside that video game, but then you didn't end up finishing it, and then you're like, it's kind of like an unchecked box in your head that you constantly think about. Oh, I need to finish this. I need to finish this. I need to finish this. It's kind of like there's a loop playing like this in your head, and it can't finish. So whenever it gets to the finish line, it goes back, and it goes back again, and it goes back, and it goes back again, and it goes back. And this is very common in most people's lives, because what ends up happening is this loop goes on constantly. And so it comes back to the front of your mind, and you're like, I need to think about that. But you actually don't. You actually shouldn't. Because some things are better not to think about when you have a goal. When you have a goal, when you have something you want to achieve, when you have something you are focusing on, you don't want these things to disrupt your focus, your flow state, and you want to be completely concentrated on the task at hand so that you can focus and push forward a bit better. So you need to be aware not only of comfort in your own home, in your own environment. Like, it could be even the relationships that you have. It could be, the relationships, it may be friendships or romantic relationships that you have. May it be a lot of different things. Like, for instance, if you're in a relationship with a woman you kind of like, and you think she's okay, but she's got a bunch of red flags, and you don't really want to break the comfort. You still want to sleep with her and whatever, and you don't think that you can detach, and you shouldn't detach or whatever, then that just means that you need to detach, because you're in a comfort zone. You're in a comfort zone, and you're never going to grow. You're going to limit yourself. You're going to limit your potential by sticking to that one person. And it's the same thing with your goals. It's the same thing with, like, personally for me, from personal experience, I own my own business. I help business owners make more money by performing and all marketing services for them. If you want more details on that, feel free to ask me any questions you want. But basically, sometimes I'm at home and I feel like I've got so many distractions at home, so many things to think about, so many boxes that are not checked. And so whenever I think about, like, okay, I need to do the dishes, I need to clean the house, I need to clean up the furniture, I need to rearrange everything, I need to clean the mirror, I need to clean the windows, I need to clean the whatever. All of these things, like, I need to make my bed, I need to brush my teeth, I need to take a shower, I need to vacuum the carpet. I don't fucking know. All of these things that are boxes that are left unchecked in my mind. Every single time I walk around my house, I think about these things, and it's annoying. So whatever I do in the house, I'm always going to be distracted, because it's a part of what I do on a day-to-day basis. It's a part of where I live, and so many things overlap among each other. And so what I end up doing is I end up taking my laptop and taking all of my stuff in a bag, and then going outside to work at a coffee shop. I tend to dress up for these things because I enjoy dressing up. I enjoy being a good-looking man. You know what I mean? It's not that hard. So I go outside and I work outside at the coffee shop, right? And at that point, there are so many things that I don't really care about outside that I end up being more focused outside working at a coffee shop than inside at home. And this could be the same thing if you have, like, a home office. I heavily recommend having a home office if you can, like having a purposeful room where only your office stuff is in, and you separate work and life, so that way you're never getting distracted in the office room, if you know what I mean. Like, don't bring any toys in there, don't bring anything in there, don't bring any food in there, don't bring any distractions in there, don't watch a movie in there, don't play video games in there. Just focus on what's in there, on work only, and you'll be able to create a mental box of the room that you are in, and use that room as efficiently as possible to work. And whenever you're in that room, you're in work mode. This is why, like, I put these clothes on, because whenever whenever I dress up, I'm in work mode. It's kind of like an attire. It switches your mind to forward fronting work mode. Like, I'm wearing this suit and the only thing I think about when I'm wearing the suit is work. Like, that's it. And so you can do this very easily. It's kind of like, it's not hypnotizing your brain, but it's basically tricking your brain into thinking we have this to focus on. And you can tie those two together. And so there's a lot of different things that you can actually do in order to manipulate your own mind as to doing what it is you actually want to do. You can understand your emotions. It's very important in order to do this. And yes, of course, there's another fucking helicopter, but who gives a shit, you know? So, when you actually think about comfort, when you actually think about entropy, when you actually think about chaos, these are small things that are going to chip away at your time and energy across the day based on the amount of things that you do. I heard recently, and I was quite amazed by this, that I think it's Cillian Murphy, the guy who plays Thomas Shelby from the Peaky Blinders. He's one of the most famous actors on earth, I'm pretty sure, and he actually doesn't have a phone. He doesn't have one. He doesn't have a phone, and he just ends up being one of the most boring people when you actually meet him in person. One of the most boring people on earth. And he proactively says that having a boring life is one of the most beautiful things you can have. And like, he takes walks on the beach, he reads books, he stays in his own house, he has a good time, he hangs out with friends, and he then focuses so much so on his acting career and his characters that he's actually much different in terms of aura than all of the other people that could act. Like, he brings such a different vibe to acting than all of the actors around him. It's very interesting. I would heavily recommend like studying his characters and understanding like how do they work, how does he work as a human, like even like how does he portray himself as his own life. Very interesting person, even though he has probably one of the most boring lives, like in terms of social media, in terms of online stuff. Like, the only thing, the most exciting thing in his own life is the character he plays, or the characters he plays in or other movies or whatever. So, very interesting. Heavily recommend studying that if you're interested in developing your own character and getting some new ideas. And being more natural as a person. And so, it is much harder for him to get distracted because he doesn't have a phone. He's not constantly getting notifications. He's not constantly getting emails or phone calls or all of these things. If somebody wants to call him, they have to call the fucking landline in his house, if you know what I mean. Or he has to sit down at his computer and he has to check his emails. And if he doesn't do that, nobody can fucking bother him, ever. And it is a truly interesting thing to think about. Because when I'm in work mode, I put the phone aside. And I never get distracted. I put the phone upside down so that way I don't see any notifications. I turn the notification sound off. I don't even turn the fucking vibrator on. I just turn everything off and I focus on the work in front of me. You could even use like noise cancelling headphones if you want. I've noticed personally in my own life that has helped me in the past. And just putting yourself in a position where you have as little distraction as possible will help you become way more productive. And this is the same thing for comfort, because comfort is a distraction at the end of the day. If you are subjected by comfort, you will end up joining, like, not really joining, but like creating a life for yourself that has nothing to do with who you actually want to be. Like, you're just gonna end up becoming a comfort addict in a way when you actually think about it. And so you need to be aware. One of the most important things that I think most people aren't today is they're not aware enough of what the fuck's happening in their own life, in the lives of other people around them, in the environment they're a part of. They're not aware of the small details. They're not aware of whenever they cook food in their own kitchen that you have to clean it after you're done. All of these small things, paying attention to the details, is one of the most important skills you can learn. It could be something as simple as what I just mentioned, like cleaning up after yourself. Or it could be something as complicated as creating a purposefully aligned environment, artificially crafted in order to manipulate your mind into thinking you are in a state of work, like I mentioned just before. And you might think like, that sounds too complicated. Basil, shut the fuck up. Like, what do you know? And I'm like, well, why the fuck are you even listening to me in the first place if you're gonna say that sort of stuff? Like what is the point? Like, I'm here to give you some advice based on what has worked for me in the past, what has worked for me like currently. And if you want to take it, that's your decision. If you don't want to take it, I can't force you, right? So at the end of the day, I'm just communicating some lessons that I've learned in my own life that have helped me like get to the point where I am today. And if you don't really want to have the kind of physique or life that I have, then in that case, I would understand you not taking my advice. That is entirely up to you. But at the end of the day, if you want to make your life better, if you want to improve yourself, if you want to have a more of a controlled life and having more of a desirable life and achieve the goals that you set out to achieve and achieve your objectives, you know, like the dream life that you actually set out to achieve in the first place, then I hope my advice can help you guys benefit in some shape, way, or form, like just a bit more, so that you can do a bit better, so that you can become a bit more efficient, so that you can do things a bit faster, so that you can not get distracted as easily, so that you can get to the place where you want to be faster, better, just be a bit better of a person, you know what I mean? And I think we need more people we need more men that become real men. And what I mean by real man is we need men that take accountability and responsibility for who they are as a part of society, and that sacrifice themselves to become important, valuable, and lead the next generation forward by example. And with that said, I appreciate every single one of you guys watching at the end of the video. As always, I make daily videos, so if you want me to talk about a certain topic, feel free to recommend that in the comments. I'm happy to talk about anything. If you want to talk about business, if you want me to talk about relationships, if you want me to talk about how to improve your mindset, if you want me to talk about making your schedule much more compact, improving your energy levels, if you want me to talk about how to become more physically fit, literally ask me anything. If you have a certain topic you want me to talk about, feel free to recommend that. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe. I'm happy to have a conversation in the comments with you guys. If you want some advice, feedback, questions, feel free to put them in there. I will have a conversation with every single one of you guys. If I have the time to answer, I will. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I post every single day, so it's a beautiful day. The sun's shining, and it's time to get back to work. Even if it's a Sunday, doesn't matter. Have a beautiful day, have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.